king. Find out who made history. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening and welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. I'm Anna Azalian. Thanks for joining us. More people are being hospitalized with the flu in Ohio. The state health department reports more than 800 people were hospitalized in the last week of January. In total, this flu season has hospitalized nearly 4,500 people in Ohio. With all of the recent buzz about the flu, we asked OU students to share their opinion about flu shots.
I mean, it definitely helps prevent the spread of the flu. I think that's how it works, I'm pretty sure. That's how I went into it.
I have not, but I have been told to get one. I think it's important because clearly it's an issue, especially this flu season's been really detrimental to a lot of people. And especially with the virus, I think that scared a lot more people into getting, we need to be more conscientious about our health. So I think now this is a very prevalent time in the flu season.
Flu has especially been a problem in local schools. Many districts have canceled classes in the last few weeks to disinfect the schools and give students time to get healthy. And many employees at a mental health facility in Cambridge are still off the job. This is following an investigation that placed an inpatient union on probation. The Ohio Mental Health and Addiction Services started the investigation after complaints were made against Cambridge Behavioral Hospital following a death at the facility. The investigation found major issues, including failure to obtain medical clearance, lack of medical oversight by a psychiatrist, and more. The state agency has determined that Cambridge Behavioral Hospital cannot treat patients until issues are corrected. And in Franklin County, nearly 30 people died of drug overdoses in the past 10 days, according to the county coroner. In a Facebook post on Sunday, the coroner wrote that there were 23 fatal overdoses from January 31st to Friday and 5 on Saturday. The coroner previously cited 10 overdose deaths on January 31st. She says they most likely died from fentanyl and encourages people to use fentanyl testing strips and also carry naloxone if they feel the need to use drugs. But despite that, the number of opioid overdose deaths have been decreasing overall in the Ohio Valley. Center for Disease Control and Prevention says overdose rates have declined since 2018, the first time in nearly a decade. But two new studies warn that access to medication-assisted treatment, or MAT, for people with opioid use disorders continues to be a challenge. A little more than 60% of residential treatment facilities did not offer FDA-approved MAT drugs on site in 2018. This is important because MAT is a key component for people reaching and sustaining addiction recovery, according to treatment specialists. And Hocking County is still cleaning up after heavy flooding last year. The Hocking-Athens Perry Community Action, or HAPCAP, is now hiring full-time workers for its disaster recovery crew. Workers are needed to remove debris that is still blocking streams and rivers after flooding last February. So far, cleanup crews have brought in 22 tons of brush, more than 30 tons of firewood, and more than 4 tons of steel. Here's what some of that debris looks like. If you're interested in working with the crew, you can contact the Hocking County Ohio Means Job Center on Front Street in Logan. And right now in Hocking County, new flooding is causing problems for drivers. State Route 278 between State Route 677 and the Hocking County line is restricted due to high water. According to the Ohio Department of Transportation, this means that water is partially covering the road. Now let's go over to Nicholas Snyder for the weather forecast for the rest of the week and if any more rain is in view.
Hi everybody, I'm forecaster Nicholas Snyder. Well, winter made its brief entrance into the area last week, but to begin this week, we are not seeing much of winter. We saw a lot of rain today, and that rain will continue into tonight. 35 will be the low. Rain will be likely, especially before midnight, and will be chilly. Make sure you have a jacket as you're going out and about. Winds will be out of the north-northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Across the area, temperatures in the middle and upper 30s and lower 40s. 41 in Ironton, 40 down in Ripley, 33 up in Newark, 32 in Columbus. That cold front is sliding on through the viewing area as we speak, and that will continue to slide through the area tonight and bring those rain chances with it. Highlights over the next couple of days, a roller coaster ride throughout the week. We have a brief cool down in store before we warm you up later on. I'll talk all about that coming up in my full forecast in the next couple of minutes. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Nicholas. An Ohio University wrestler pleaded not guilty to several misdemeanor charges in Athens County Municipal Court last week. 21-year-old Aaron Naples is charged with criminal damaging, obstructing official business, and resisting arrest. The arrest came after police officers responded to a report of a male damaging vehicles on West Washington Street. Officers caught Naples allegedly damaging a vehicle and had to run after him before they were able to arrest him. And following a shooting in Dayton last summer that killed 9 people in 30 seconds, lawmakers are still hesitant to act when it comes to Ohio gun laws. Ohio has been given a D grade for the strength of its gun laws and ranked 24th by the Gifford Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence. Ohio is also ranked 22nd in the rate of gun death, with 13.7 gun deaths per 100,000 people. Governor Mike DeWine battled GOP lawmakers when calling for universal background checks and a red flag law following the Dayton shooting. And police are looking for possible suspects in a deadly shooting at a nightclub. Youngstown police say 3 people were killed early Sunday morning. All 3 victims were men in their 30s. At least 1 man was found shot to death in a car. Police say 1 suspect is in custody, but they're not sure if more are involved. And officials with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources say hunters have killed more than 185,000 white-tailed deer this season. The season started at the end of September and ended February 2nd. The total number of deer killed included those killed during archery, gun, muzzleloader, and youth seasons. Hunters killed 12,000 more deer during this year's season compared to last year. And in Kentucky, as Black History Month kicks off, there will be a celebration at the Kentucky Capitol tomorrow, highlighting contributions that African Americans have made to the U.S. military. The event will be hosted by the Black Legislative Caucus and include a special award presentation by Governor Angie Beshear. There will also tell stories of heroism and show appreciation for African Americans who have helped defend the nation throughout its history. And people with disabilities took to the red carpet Friday evening for the first ever Night to Shine dance in Athens County. The Night to Shine events are sponsored by the former NFL player Tim Tebow. He created the Tim Tebow Foundation to help people with disabilities while highlighting Christian morals. Poor lighting or a flight of stairs may keep disabled people from enjoying outings or events, but Night to Shine dances are designed with accessibility in mind. The event had a wheelchair-accessible red carpet and a sensory room to take a break from loud music. Many attendees were excited to dance the night away with family and friends. The number of U.S. troops who are being diagnosed with brain damage after missile attacks on Iran continues to climb. How President Trump is responding after the break. Stay with us.
Dogs and people.
The best duo in all of evolutionary history.
But what is the origin of our connection?
Are we going to do some work today?
Now, breakthroughs in behavioral science and genetics.
We've identified the genetic material that makes dogs form strong emotional bonds.
Unravel the story of our canine companion. Dog Tales on Nova.
This is one of the most biodiverse places in the world, Florida. But powerful forces are threatening the state's wild creatures and iconic landscapes.
If Florida lost the reef tract completely, it's likely that we would see a place like Florida Keys completely washed away.
The war that we're fighting is bigger than the battle that we're winning.
Can Florida continue to weather the growing storm?
Come to Vegas, the food is absolutely amazing. This is secret sauce. How come you didn't teach me? It's a city that constantly is growing, and then you have this Chinatown. Your food is so good, it's unfair.
We have a traditional Taiwan food.
Mongolian hot pot.
Hainanese chicken.
Tempura noodles. Handful noodles, nice.
Okay,
Perfect, there we go.
No passport required.
Dating is never easy, but for many Chinese women, their worth depends on being married. In the eyes of those who love them, they're not complete unless they have a husband. For these women, being single in their mid-20s can mean defying society and their family. If choosing your own path meant risking everything, what would you do? Leftover Women.
The sexual assault trial of disgraced producer Harvey Weinstein resumed this morning in New York. Weinstein's defense attorneys told the court last week their most important witnesses could be called today. They began making their case after prosecutors rested last Thursday. Weinstein faces 5 charges, including rape and predatory sexual assault. He has pleaded not guilty, arguing that the incidents were consensual. He faces life in prison if convicted. And according to a U.S. official, more than 100 U.S. troops have been diagnosed with traumatic brain injuries after Iran's missile attack in Iraq. That's up significantly since the end of January, when the Pentagon said 64 service members had been diagnosed with injuries. About 200 people were in the blast zone at the time of the attack, which was retaliation for the January 2nd U.S. drone strike that killed a top Iranian general. Last month, Trump said he does not consider potential brain injuries to be as serious as physical combat wounds. Amazon wants President Trump to testify in a battle over a $10 billion Pentagon cloud contract. According to a court filing unsealed today, Amazon has asked a federal court for permission to depose Trump and Defense Secretary Mark Esper. It's part of an ongoing protest over the Defense Department's handling of a multi-billion-dollar cloud computing contract known as the Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure. It's highly unusual to depose a sitting president for a contract protest, and the decision on the motion to depose is expected in the coming weeks. President Trump said people will be very impressed by his administration's 2021 budget proposal. During a meeting with governors today, Trump says the $4.8 trillion plan will, quote, bring our deficit down to what it should be, which is close to zero. It includes more than $7 billion for military spending and leaves Medicare and Social Security untouched. Trump also said the United States needs to increase spending to its nuclear programs due to competition from Russia and China. The president's budget proposal is not expected to pass Congress. More than 900 people have died from the coronavirus around the world. That number tops deaths from the 2003 outbreak of SARS. While not at pandemic levels yet, health officials worry the number of cases could keep increasing. Whitney Wild brings us the latest from Washington.
Cases of the novel coronavirus stretch from the United States to Australia, topping 40,000 infections in 25 countries and territories and claiming the lives of at least 910 people. Despite travel restrictions, health officials worry there could be more cases in the U.S.
So right now the risk is relatively low for us, but that could change pretty quickly.
In the United States, there are 12 confirmed cases of coronavirus, 6 in California, 2 in Illinois, 1 in Arizona, 1 in Massachusetts, 1 in Washington State, and 1 in Wisconsin.
10 of them were imported cases from Wuhan, and 2 were close contact spouses.
For those working or reporting on global health, the pace of the virus calls to mind the SARS outbreak of 2003. Now, some who witnessed the spread of that deadly virus worry about a repeat due to what some see as leadership failures in China.
I fear they're too late. That everybody's dragging their feet and getting ready for this, and I think this is going to really explode.
Health officials say the virus is actually less lethal than SARS. The coronavirus death rate hovers around 2%, while SARS approached nearly 10%, killing 774 people of the more than 8,000 infected.
It's less than SARS, but it's clearly much more than a typical seasonal flu.
In Washington, I'm Whitney Wild reporting.
And when asked during a press conference, President Donald Trump says the U.S. is, quote, in good shape when it comes to the coronavirus.
Now, the virus that we're talking about having to do, a lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat, as the heat comes in. Typically, that will go away in April. We're in great shape, though. We have 11 cases, and many of them are in good shape now.
Only 12 cases have been confirmed in the U.S., but there are still 100 pending tests. A serving of bacon and a hot dog, just 2 servings of red meat a week, is enough to increase your risk of heart disease. What a new study says you can start doing right away. That's after the break.
And weather-wise, we're going to warm you up over the next few days, but a major Arctic cool down is in store. I'll talk all about that coming up in my full forecast, but first a look at stocks of local interest.
What might be a crime in some countries is just everyday liberty in America.
Free speech, free thought, free religion. Never tried before.
If it were not for the press, people would not know what the government is up to. To be worked like a mule, to be a piece of property.
How cruel is that? January 1st, you will be free.
How does a constitution become more perfect?
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
How do you split up nicely from a girlfriend?
We should talk about life.
All of our ceremonies illustrate connectedness with all of creation.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Go to pbs.org/getpassport and find out how you can start streaming today.
Dating is never easy, but for many Chinese women, their worth depends on being married. In the eyes of those who love them, they're not complete unless they have a husband. For these women, being single in their mid-20s can mean defying society and their family. If choosing your own path meant risking everything, what would you do? Leftover Women.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
How do you split up nicely from a girlfriend?
We should talk about life.
All of our ceremonies illustrate connectedness with all of creation.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Go to pbs.org/getpassport and find out how you can start streaming today.
Welcome back. I'm forecaster Nicholas Snyder. Well, the clouds are hanging tough just all across the eastern half of the United States. Very cloudy skies as we go all the way up from the Gulf of Mexico to the Great Lakes here, and that's due to an area of low pressure that's overhead that is formed because of this jet streak. Right at this right entrance region of that jet streak is where you see those lows typically form, and we see it on the surface map here. There's our low right now. That'll kind of stall out and move out through the area. We had a cold front come through earlier on today, and that will cool us off just a little bit. The rain will continue through tomorrow, and again, that cold front I mentioned earlier is coming through and will continue to come through tonight. As we take a look at a graphical representation of the hour-by-hour temperatures, we drop you from the upper 40s to the lower 40s by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and those rain chances will increase as we go throughout the night. Lots of rain in the viewing area. There's that surface low at about 7 a.m. tomorrow, so it will be quite a rainy evening. 35 will be the low. Rain likely. It will be chilly. Make sure you have a jacket if you're going out and about. Winds will be out of the north-northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Across the area, temperatures generally in the middle and upper 30s and lower 40s. 32 will be the cool spot in Columbus, 33 in Newark, 41 the warm spot down in Ironton, 40 in Ripley. Cold front will be sliding on through, kind of stall out along the Ohio River and bring with that those rain chances. Lesser of rain chances if you're further west and further north in the viewing area as we go throughout the night. There's that cold front. It kind of stalls out again across the eastern U.S., and that will continue that pattern over the next couple of days and keep us rather gloomy over the next couple of days as well. 46 tomorrow will be the high. It will be warmer tomorrow than what we saw today. Rain will continue in the morning. Afternoon, we will be cloudy across the area. Winds will be out of the west-northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. All across the area, temperatures generally in the middle 40s. Rain chances increase the further south and east you go, all due again to that low pressure that will stall out. Now, that cold front that came through tonight will stall out, become a warm front. Another system will develop along that boundary layer, and we are in for a roller coaster ride this week. Multiple shots of cold air and warm air as well ahead. Here's one of our shots of cold air. This is the coldest air we'll be seeing all season. Arctic air mass will come down from over here, and that will really cool us off for Friday morning as we take a look at our 7-day temperature average. 14 degrees below average for Friday before we warm you back above average at the beginning of next week. 10-day air masses, we're kind of in between air masses right now. and we cool you down for Wednesday. There's our brief cool down before. We'll warm you up on Thursday as a storm comes up, and then a major cool down for Friday. And as we take a look at the extended forecast, 44 on Thursday with rain, and we warm you back into the 50s to begin next week.
Thanks, Nicholas. To eat or not to eat red or processed meat, it's an issue debated by researchers for some time. A new study may have you putting down the steak knife. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
Eating just 2 servings of processed meat or unprocessed red meat each week can bring a small but significant increased risk of premature death and heart disease, according to a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Researchers studied long-term data on nearly 30,000 people and determined people who ate 2 servings of meat like bacon, sausage, or a hot dog each week had a 3 to 7% higher risk of premature death and cardiovascular disease. While the percentages may sound small, heart disease is the #1 killer in the United States, and some say even a small reduction in risk can make a big difference. The study's lead author says anyone concerned about heart health or risk for cancer and other diseases should limit their intake of red and processed meats. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Newborns in the U.S. don't weigh what they used to. Research from the University of Colorado at Boulder shows the average birth weight of babies decreased more than 2 ounces in about 20 years. Researchers say this is due to shorter pregnancies and more women scheduling to have induced or have C-sections. The average baby today is still well above the weight considered to be low or at risk for health problems.
I'm Sports Director Thomas Garver. Coming up in sports right after the break, it was a busy and historic weekend in the Convo. The Ohio men's basketball team has a new three-point king. Find out who and how the Bobcats dominated the Battle of the Bricks. That and more when Newswatch returns. But first, keep it here on WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Dogs and people.
The best duo in all of evolutionary history.
But what is the origin of our connection?
Are we going to do some work today?
Now, breakthroughs in behavioral science and genetics.
We've identified the genetic material that makes dogs form strong emotional bonds.
Unravel the story of our canine companion, Dog Tales, on Nova.
From the first student protests to the millions who took to the streets against Beijing's control.
All acts are one step closer to terrorism.
Frontline takes you inside Hong Kong's battle for freedom.
In the eyes of the Chinese Communist Party, all fighting for democracy is over the red line.
Dating is never easy, but for many Chinese women, their worth depends on being married. In the eyes of those who love them, they're not complete unless they have a husband. For these women, being single in their mid-20s can mean defying society and their family. If choosing your own path meant risking everything, what would you do? Leftover women.
This is one of the most biodiverse places in the world, Florida. But powerful forces are threatening the state's wild creatures and iconic landscapes.
If Florida lost the reef tract completely, it's likely that we would see a place like Florida Keys completely washed away.
The war that we're fighting is bigger than the battle that we're winning.
Can Florida continue to weather the growing storm?
Welcome back. I'm Thomas Garver. Good weekend of basketball inside of the Convo. Ohio currently the 2 seed in the MAC tournament, taking on Kent State, sitting right behind the Bobcats as the 3 seed. Ohio and Kent neck and neck. Early on, Ohio gets things going. CeCe Hooks to Erica Johnson. And how many times have we seen that? Ohio up by 2 after the first, but the Golden Flashes gave Ohio all that they could handle. Lindsey Thal kicks it out to Katie Shoemate for 3. The Golden Flashes led 39-31 at the break. Second half, Ohio shut down the Golden Flashes. CC hooks the steal, and then the awareness. Tosses it to Baden Geis for the easy 2. Bobcats start to pull away. Then later, it's Johnson again in transition, man, making it look easy. Nothing but the bottom. Ohio holds off Kent 63-57.
Most teams can't absorb CC getting in foul trouble as well as we can. I mean, Erica offensively was fantastic in the first half and kind of carried us through some times when CC wasn't on the court. But make no mistake, we're better. I mean, CC had more steals than the other team again.
Second act of the basketball doubleheader, the Battle of the Bricks. Historic afternoon in the combo. Early stretches, Jason Preston to Jordan Dardis for 3. Rolls around and in. That 3 made Dardis the new three-pointer king in Ohio history. Miami responds, though. Nike Sabande with a 3 of his own. And get this, the Redhawks would go on to miss their next 26 shots. Historically bad shooting for Miami. Jason Preston, though, he had another great day. He goes coast to coast all the way to the 10 for the easy bucket. Ohio led 34-11 at the break. Halftime show. The Pooch was more entertaining than Miami's offense. No, I'm not going to apologize for that one. To the second half we go. Preston dishing again, this time to Ben Roderick, who splashes home the triple. Preston with a triple-double, just the second in program history. Ohio blows out Miami 77-46.
I know, like, when it comes down the road, man, I'm going to look back at it, man. Like, that's huge. That's big time. So I'm very appreciative, man. I'm very humbled, man. I put past Nick Kellogg, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him, man. Like, he was a great OU legend here, so just to be able to replace him at the #1 spot, man, it's a great feeling.
All right, it's been a while, but I'm bringing back my weekend game ball, and rightfully so. Pretty easy decision when you have a player go for a 15, 10, and 10 triple-double. Jason Preston was named Mackey's Player of the Week today, and rightfully so. He's among the leaders in the country in assists and is one of the best playmakers in the MAC. He's averaging 15, 7, and 6, and the triple-double against Miami was the first of his career, and it tastes even sweeter in a win against your rival.
It's nice, but most importantly, we got the win, and we needed it. We were on like a 4-game losing streak or something. To come in here and beat our rival by like 30 points, that's what's most important.
Another match in MAC play over the weekend for the Ohio wrestling team. Ohio taking on Northern Illinois and South Dakota State. Ohio's Shakir Laney. This kid is special. He continued his fantastic year. He's ranked 17th in his weight class, taking on NIU's Anthony Gibson. Nice move here. Watch this. Oh my gosh. He won his match in a 9-5 decision, but Ohio fell to NIU 31-6. They also lost to South Dakota State 28-9. Tough weekend for the Bobcats. And high school girls basketball playoffs are underway right now. In Division III, Alexander and Portsmouth tipped at 5. This game just went final. The Lady Spartans blew past Portsmouth 55-24. Alexander is on to the sectional final. Then a couple of 16-17 matchups staying in Division III. Federal Hawking and Lynchburg going at it. Fed Hawk up at the break. And then in Division II, a TVC Ohio matchup between Athens and Meigs. Meigs Marauders up 20-19 at the break. Anna, I'm on the phone. I have to check through all of our Harvard Heroes reporters, making sure that they're tweeting out scores and getting that. So that's what happens when you have games tip in the middle of the broadcast. But it's coming down to the end here, so we'll see what happens.
And viewers can get the latest scores on Twitter, right?
That's right. Check out WAB.org/heroes for all scores and updates.
Thanks, Thomas. And just in time for the Jilted Lovers this Valentine's Day, 2 zoos in Texas will name a cockroach after your ex. And you can watch it be fed to an animal. There's a $5 charge at the San Antonio Zoo, but it's free at the El Paso Zoo. And even the Bronx Zoo is also getting in on the fun. For $15, you can name a Madagascar hissing cockroach after your partner. The Bronx Zoo will even mail you a certificate to